Hi guys, Kim here at Olive City Homestead, and it is the middle of June 2021 and it's time for a garden tour. Now, I need to tell you right up front that it is super hot here. It hit 113 yesterday Fahrenheit, and that's really hot. It is 9 a.m. and it's already past 90 degrees. I was out here at 5:30 this morning watering. And yeah, I'm giving the plants plenty of water, but a lot of plants really don't like 113. They don't even like 100. So I'm smiling, but that's because I've accepted that I am gonna lose some things. Not too many. I try to grow things that are heat resistant, but some of them, it's just been a lot. Many days in a row. We've had this kind of weather now pretty much straight for a month since mid-May. We did have a break for about 5 days at the beginning of June where it went down into the 80s, but it's pretty much been this hot for a month, and that's pretty early for us. Usually we don't get that kind of extreme heat until July and August. Now, a lot of plants don't do well with temperatures of 113, kind of like people. In fact, we don't do well, and neither do the plants, with temperatures over 95 or 100. So it's been a struggle for them, especially since a lot of them were brand new plants, being this early in the season. And yeah, I've only lost one completely, I think, but a lot of them don't look so great. But in addition to the heat, I've actually been facing another challenge this year that I've never faced before in any garden I've grown, and that is the squirrels keep eating my squash leaves. Specifically my zucchini squash. Now, I love zucchini, I love butternut, I love delicata, I love yellow crookneck, but my favorite are zucchini. And wouldn't you know it, it's the only squash plant that they're eating the leaves from. And I mean, they're serious about it. I plant it and I come back 2 or 3 hours later and every leaf is gone. It's very discouraging, especially in the beginning. After a while, it became kind of ridiculous. And of course, I tried different things and they worked for a while, but then the squirrels would get smart. For instance, after they ate my first round, a bed I'd planted with 4 big zucchini plants full of leaves that of course I'd grown from seed and nurtured. They ate every leaf on them overnight. I got some wire garbage cans, little ones, this big, about a foot high, from the dollar store, cut the bottoms off and put them over the bare stalks. I know, everyone knows that probably with no leaves, they're not going to come back. But guess what? They did. Every one of them came back, sprouted new leaves, and with those little wire cages around them, they were safe from the squirrels, and I was super happy. And then about a week and a half, 2 weeks in, I came out one morning and all the cages had been pulled out of the ground because I'd had them staked in slightly and shoved aside, and every leaf was gone. Yeah. So then I got some tomato stakes and I got some tulle and I enclosed the bed, or the half of the bed with the zucchini plants, in this tulle sort of cage. And they came back again. I was really shocked that time. 3 of them now have leaves. The other one I noticed this morning is just starting to put on some leaves. So all 4 are coming back again. And so far, this little makeshift tulle cage is working. Now, somewhere along the line in this video, I'll let you know my grand scheme that I have come up with as they continue to go around my entire garden and find all the zucchini plants and devour all the leaves. I came up with this plan of what I'm going to do to combat these varmints. It's very frustrating, but I have to look at it, realistically, and also like it's not the only thing. Even though I love zucchini, I can get zucchini other places, and maybe this is the year, while I'm implementing my new plan slowly, because it's going to take a while, to focus on some other plants like peppers and tomatoes, because the squirrels don't care about them for some reason. So yeah, anyway, we're gonna go around and see what is doing well and what is struggling to do well. And life is good and this heat will pass, I'm sure. and things will grow and we will enjoy it. I know I have been enjoying the early morning hours. Being forced to get up so early to water, I'm actually able to enjoy a few cool hours in the morning, and then I come out late in the evening from like 8 to 10, do a little more watering and enjoy the semi-cool weather then. So without further ado, let's start the June 2021 Olive City Homestead, Northern California Zone 9B garden tour. Join me. So this is the back corner of the garden, just past beyond the umbrella. There's a gate in my duck pen back there that it goes to the extended duck pen, and on the other side of that fence there, and that old apple tree is the olive orchard, the south olive orchard, and the chicken yard. And here I have the ducks in their morning pen, and I have planted along the edge of their wire fence a bunch of cuttings that I took off of tree collards and dinosaur kale, and also a few purple tree kale farther down the fence, and they're doing really well. And I suspect that by next year those are going to be at the top of the fence and have filled out quite a bit, and it will be pretty cool looking, I think. Got my little water feature there, which I'm really enjoying, and so are the birds. And here we have a bunch of lemongrass doing great. Lemongrass really doesn't mind the heat at all. I love the way that the fronds, if that's what you call them, these long leaves, turn a maroonish color on the end. It's really a nice accent. This makes such wonderful tea. I super enjoy it. It's probably one of my favorite tea plants. And down at the bottom I have chocolate mint, which is another great herb to grow for tea. Next to that little circular bed, I have this bed, which I haven't fully planted. You can see that these squares are empty. On this side, these cement blocks do have something in most of the squares. I have some zinnias that I recently planted seeds in, a few on the ends. And then in the middle, I've got 6 of my canna lilies, which I just pulled out from different pots of canna lilies I have. They're always spreading, and it's easy to grab new ones and put them wherever you want. So they're doing very well here. They like this filtered sun they get from the tomato plants that I have growing here. I've got 2 rows of tomatoes here that are doing very well and producing a lot of tomatoes already. These are cherry tomatoes. This row back here on the west side are plants I grew from seeds that I saved from last year's plants because I love the sun gold variety. And I know a lot of times seeds don't grow true, but I have found that the sun gold do pretty much, and I like the tomatoes they produce from seed, so I keep growing them that way. And in the middle I've got some marigolds and some bean plants that are struggling with the heat. They've been that size, and then they lose some leaves, and then they grow new leaves. We'll see if they actually make it. They might once these tomato plants get bigger and give them more shade. Now this row is actually 5 pretty large now Chadwick cherry tomatoes, and these I'm growing because another YouTuber recommended them as her favorite, and that would be Sarah over at the Big Blue House Homestead. And so they're all doing very well. Lots of small ones, bigger ones. They get about the size of a small tangerine, so they're a bigger cherry tomato. Now I recently put some tea stakes and wire fencing up and sort of connected them at the top so that these plants have somewhere to climb, and I've actually used masking tape to tape them up here and there, which I'd heard from a friend that works well for her, so I'm trying it this year, and so far it's working great. Very happy with it. I do like to mix in flowers with my veggies, so you will see them everywhere. And we've got some snapdragons here. Recently planted a lot more snapdragons because I find they actually do very well in the heat, and are perennial here, and so I like that. Perennials, always a great thing. So this is a little area I've tooled to keep the squirrels out, and I've got yellow squash growing in that container, and over here I've got Armenian cucumber, and there is a big one in there. I have several fruits I need to get off of these plants. Let's see if I can see that one. Yes, see, there we go. They often curve like that. I do find Armenian cucumbers are absolutely the best ones I've ever eaten, and so that now it's all I grow as far as cucumbers go. Everywhere on the ground you're going to see cilantro. Now I guess you'd say coriander as it's gone to seed. They are volunteers. They just blow everywhere in the wind and come up everywhere each spring. Kind of like these random volunteer yellow pear tomatoes. They come up everywhere too. I am using a lot of 15-gallon containers and other pots to grow things in. I like a variety of raised beds in the ground and containers, and for different reasons, and so that's what I do. And here you can see one of those cages I mentioned where I've cut the top off, and I'm trying to grow this little melon. This was a tiny little seedling next to my larger melon plant, so I took it out. I'm going to try to grow it here. It isn't liking this heat. It's sort of just staying at that little tiny size, but it's not dying. So hopefully when it cools off a bit, it will take off. Here I've got some Swiss chard trying to struggle through the heat. Some Rudbeckia, and there is my melon. It's a green nutmeg melon. It's the only one that survived the heat, so I'm gonna have to replant melon when maybe in a week or two when it cools off. I keep saying when it cools off. It probably won't, but I will plant it somewhere maybe in more shade. This is usually a great spot for melon because it gets shade from about 2 p.m. on, and that's why this one has survived so long. So I'm pretty hopeful about how this will do. I've got a lot of blossoms on it, and yeah, we'll see. Some more of my cuttings of tree-colored purple tree kale. See, I'll show you. This is a purple tree kale. 2 of them actually that I took off of a larger plant, or maybe the wind blew off, but they're doing fine and sending out lots of new growth. I have a couple of these okras coming up in pots, and they'll do fine there because their roots can leave the pot and go into the ground below. And you'll notice at the base I have some volunteer plants, and those are not okra seedlings, those are ground cherries. I know because I've seen them before, and they also come up everywhere. Once you've grown ground cherries, boy, did they volunteer year after year. So I'm going to take those out and actually plant them somewhere else very soon. So this tree was a nice surprise. I actually bought it as a purple crepe myrtle, but then when it went to form buds, the buds were all a dark crimson, and I thought, oh no, they mislabeled it. It's not purple, it's the dark pink, which I like, but I wanted purple. But as those buds opened, out came purple. So it's not really loving the heat, and these blossoms here are kind of spent, but I know it's going to be a great plant. It will survive just fine, and it will be beautiful one day. My little smoke tree is doing fine. I do love the color of those leaves, and it doesn't seem to mind the heat at all. Some more Swiss chard, and in this container I've got some Armenian cucumber growing, and behind it some gladioli. And oh, I love these. I'm going to plant so many more of these now. These are safflower, and I love the colors, and I just love that texture that it's got. Even as spent blossoms, I love how they look. Here they are when they're older and spent, but still so pretty. Yeah, I'm going to grow a lot more of those. Now I've got 2 eggplants there, Japanese ones, and you can see some curled leaves from the heat. That is not from me watering them. I don't get leaves wet when I water. I'm super careful about that. Learned my lesson years ago. It's just from the heat in general. But I do think they'll survive. Eggplant are pretty tough plants. Some random amaranth coming up amidst my little yellow daisies. And this is a bed I've also tooled full of squash. Now, interesting, they never bothered this squash. You can see these pattern leaves. This is butterbush squash, which is a variety similar to butternut, but smaller, more compact fruits. and more, I think, bushier plants from what I understand. I've never really grown them before, but I love the butternut flavor, so I'm trying it. And the squirrels never have touched these, even before I put the tool up. However, I was worried they would start to eat on this plant, which isn't a zucchini, but it's a yellow crookneck, and so similar to zucchini in its leaf form that I thought, I don't want to chance it. So then I did tool this bed. So I'm not sure whether the squirrels would have eaten any of this, but because I did this, for sure they haven't, and I do have quite a lot of fruit in there that I need to pick. Some yellow squash for dinner, I think. Yeah, definitely, there's another big one. And look at this, right in the midst of this bed, I have gladioli that are in bloom. Isn't that gorgeous? I've never actually grown them before, but I'm very happy with them. They don't seem to mind the heat at all. There's one of my empty beds that I'm going to plant some stuff in soon. Look at this amazing and beautiful borage plant that volunteered outside my squash bed. Love those blue star flowers, and those leaves have a mild, delicious cucumber flavor in a salad. Plus they make absolutely great tea. And borage is so healthy for you. In fact, I'll link to a video I did just on borage if you want more information on this great plant. All right, well, if you watched my last video about the artichokes, this was that bed. You can still see their base of their stalks there that I cut down. I planted 2 very large zucchini plants in here, which were immediately eaten by the squirrels. And then that's when I came up with my tool idea. So I tooled this bed up, and now those plants are sending up new leaves. So I'm hopeful. There's the other one sending up more new leaves. Yeah, learning my lesson. Here's the original bed, which is half zucchini and half tomatoes, that the squirrels started devouring. So these plants have come back 3 times. They were, when I planted them originally, they were about 3 or 4 times as big as this plant. And devoured to the ground, regrew under the cages, devoured to the ground, and now regrowing behind this tool enclosure. I don't know why I have this little wire cage around this one. I think I had left it there before I put up the tool. And then the last one is finally starting to grow leaves way down here on the end. See that? Little leaves. But these bare stalks, that's how they all look twice before they grew back. So they're struggling, but I'll tell you what, they must have some great root systems under there at this point. And on the other side of the tool, I didn't feel any need to protect the tomatoes because the squirrels and all animals really leave tomato plants alone. They're known to have leaves that animals just don't like. So growing at the edge of my pool deck, hidden away, is this zucchini. Do not let the squirrels know about it because they have not found it yet. In fact, there is even a little zucchini growing down there. I don't know how this has escaped their notice, but I just hope it continues that way. Well, I had to step into the olive orchard for a few moments with the chickens in the shade because my camera turned off. It has just now come back on, so I guess that means it's cooled down enough that I can proceed, but it is pretty hot out here. I'd say it's approaching 100 now. But I want to show you my gorgeous pepper beds. The peppers have been producing like crazy. Peppers love heat, and they are doing just fine. As long as I keep them watered, they're not troubled at all by these high temps. And same could be said for my sunflowers. The girls appreciate a little running water in this heat. They have plenty of shade in the olive orchard, but they love to peck around in the water and stand in the water. So I make sure to help them out and give them that. It also irrigates my olive trees. Right, girls? Yeah. Hey, be nice. Why are you pecking her? Cindy, I can't believe it. You're my nicest chicken. Why are you doing that? Are you showing off for the camera? And you. Don't put up with that. You tell her to leave you alone. And you girls be friends now. That water looks pretty good. I might have to wade in it myself. So this is another bed that's mostly empty, but I did put in a couple of lunchbox red snacking peppers along with some flowers, and trying to decide what's gonna go in here. Maybe some more tomatoes. I do have quite a few of those still to plant. So this pepper bed is doing really well. Right up front here I have the Cubanelle peppers. Now my son told me he came out and cut big peppers off of every plant yesterday to make his dinner. But I still have plenty. And I've got some, let's see, some corbaci. What else do I have? Some Jimmy Nardello peppers, which I find to be the hardest pepper plant to grow. So I'm super happy I've got one going strong, even in this heat, producing some big Jimmy Nardellos for me. This is an Aurora pepper plant, and it is small still. It will get bigger. It produces hundreds of these little purple peppers, which also get a bit bigger than this, probably 3 times or 4 times that big. And then they go from dark purple and change color to red and orange and yellow, but you can eat them at any color stage. There on the end I've got some cayenne peppers, and these are a couple of new ones I planted. This is a sweet purple bell, and this is a sugar orange snack. So they don't have blossoms but no fruit yet. And then what is that one over there? Oh, that's another Cubanelle. It has some peppers too on the other side of it. And let's go see some more peppers. That Jimmy Nardello is as big as my hand, and there's 3 of them on the plant right now. So definitely going to be enjoying those. Here we've got some banana peppers growing fine along the chicken fence. Interesting, the squirrels don't bother the peppers. Guess they know better than that, right? My herb garden all along the chicken run is doing fine. Got a huge lemon verbena plant here, which I wish you could smell because it is divine. The smell of these leaves, even just brushing by them, oh, smells so good. It is the strongest lemon scent and flavor, I think, of any of my lemon plants. Lemon verbena is, compared to, say, lemon balm or lemongrass. Down here, what have I got? Some echinacea, some chamomile and basil, some garlic in that pot, some green onions. I have walking green onions that I've left almost too late. I need to plant those. And look at all this. This is what my herb garden needs. It needs me to cut back all the flowers, which I let go in the early summer, but I need to cut them back now. It's time. So this is oregano, of course. And down there is, that's some lime thyme. We've got some cilantro gone to seed, so I got to collect that coriander. There's some winter savory, some of which has gone to flower very prettily, but still need to cut it back. And look at that beautiful coneflower. Love that. Oh, there's another one right under there. See, there we go. I love how they evolve over time and change shape, those flowers. Basil and some green sorrel and some other oregano gone to flower. Take a look at that gorgeous flower. Now maybe you understand why I let my herbs go to flower. I mean, that is beautiful oregano flowers. The bees think so too, which is another reason I let the herb garden go to flower for a while. Here we've got some sage, which it is struggling in the heat, especially the part out here. The part back here in the shade is doing better. But all of it is fine. It will continue to grow. It will survive. And here on the end, some lemon balm, which isn't nearly as full as and big as it usually is because it is, you know, fighting the heat too. So this is the bed that the other half, on the other side of these tomatoes, are the 4 zucchini plants that have come back to life 3 times now and are tooled. But these tomato plants, they've got cages around them, really tall ones, and they are all doing just fine. They're looking really great, lots of blossoms on them, and I'm looking forward to enjoying them. These are more of the variety I love, which is I'll pull this one off. Sun Gold. Yeah, that's a smaller one, but small or big, they taste wonderful. Now the tree collard, you know, it's not a big fan of heat, but it does fine in it. And I have cut it back so many times because, of course, it will grow and it would take over the whole garden, the whole property if I let it. So I cut it back and hack it off is more like what I do. The ducks love it, so I feed a lot of it to the ducks. And also, I'm telling you, if for no other reason, you should grow tree collard because it makes its leaves as they yellow and you plop them in a bucket of water. They make the best compost tea to feed your other plants that is you can possibly imagine. And so I use a lot of it for that too. So here's the big success story that I've showed in a recent video. This wonderful variegated pink lemon tree. Yes, after being completely decimated in a windstorm early in the spring, it has returned to life. And this tree was 4.5 feet tall or so, with many gorgeously leafed out branches. But it broke off right at the graft union, and it was very debatable whether or not it was going to regrow from the rootstock or from the graft. But thankfully, as you can see here from these variegated leaves, it did grow back from the pink variegated graft. And I've got sideways branches, and I even have this upright branch which I'm going to train to be the new trunk with even more new growth coming out straight up. So I'm super pleased and so happy that this came back to life. And here is a beautiful amaranth plant starting to blossom. Just love these, and they get huge. I had one last year that was over 6 feet tall. I love the crimson leaves as well as the blossoms. It's just a beautiful, beautiful plant. And there's another one there. I'm really looking forward to these getting huge and providing some shade for the area behind it. This is one of the areas that has not done as well. These are zucchini and the squirrels haven't found them. But you see how yellow they look? They were covered with ants. Can't find any aphids on them. But you know, I've washed the ants off several times. They're not getting over or underwatered, in my opinion. But they are not doing so hot. I think this container had maybe a little too much nitrogen in it, but I do see that they're adapting and that they're starting to do better. So I think by the next garden tour, they're going to be doing great. That's my optimistic outlook. The lime tree in a 15-gallon container now for 6 years, producing lots of limes as usual. Doesn't seem to be too bothered by the heat, but it's, you know, I mean, it has some new growth and the leaves are not drying up, and I think it'll do all right. Won't it, BB-8? Hey, BB, are you enjoying some shade there? Yeah? Well, that's a good idea. I should get in the shade too. And here we've got some flowers, gazanias and alyssum, some echinacea coming up, some more alyssum of different colors. We got some loropetalum. Back there is star jasmine. Some more loropetalum, some more alyssum, and more gazanias of another color starting to open. And look here, we've got a pretty gorgeous crepe myrtle going on. Need to transplant that out of that container, but it's doing fine so far. And here I have some yarrow gonna bloom soon. I have some yarrow blooming on my patio, a crimson yarrow. It's so gorgeous. Here amidst the alyssum, I have all of this volunteer flowering oregano. I did not plant this oregano here. It just decided it wanted to live here and came on over. Here we've got some osteospermum. Love that burgundy color of the blooms. And another purple tree kale. Doing fine. This stuff is so delicious. It's far better, in my opinion, than any other kale and collard. The taste of this in the winter is fabulous. In the summer, it's still excellent. And it's just so little care involved, and it's so beautiful. Also beautiful are these purple scabiosa, these pincushion flowers, which I finally transplanted. They were in a ceramic blue pot, and the purple and blue just didn't go together, and I finally just put them in this terracotta colored planter, and I think it looks good in that. Oh, we've got some chamomile here that I should harvest some more of. And another pepper plant. This is, supposedly this is a candy cane striped pepper. Well, we'll see how that goes. I can barely see a stripe on one or two of these peppers. Got some bronze fennel here. Some basil and just a variety of little herbs and other such things. Some oregano, some what is a tomato plant doing in here? That's gonna have to get replanted elsewhere. But I just have a variety of things back here, and sometimes I transplant them later. I just start them off here. Oh, I see a red strawberry. I'll have to eat that. Hey, oh, this is a safflower seedling. I can tell it's very distinctive, and I'm going to plant that somewhere else, or maybe I'll leave it there. We'll see. Had to get in the shade for a second. I'm on my way just to show you some really big red tomatoes I'm growing in grow bags, and I had to show you the lantana and the salvia and my favorite purple fountain grass. So gorgeous, these maroon leaves. Oh, I see the tomatoes. Do you see them? So I'm growing in grow bags for the first time this year. It wasn't actually my choice. My dad gave them to me and said, grow some tomatoes in these. So I am. And I have a lot of red tomatoes I need to take off. Looks like a bird was pecking at that one. Yeah, they're over really ripe. I really do need to get them off. And look at those crowded canna lilies. And there's some more back there. I need to take some more out and plant them somewhere else. Thought I'd show you that blooming yarrow I mentioned. It's actually not really a burgundy. It's a pink. Dark pink and light pink, mixture of pinks. It's really pretty. Next to some more chamomile. Oh, and this is my dead nettle. When it's completely in bloom, it's so gorgeous with all those purple flowers. It's kind of finicky though. It was about two and a half times this full and full of blooms. And I put it in filtered sun, and it like died back completely. It didn't like that, even a few hours. So I brought it back here, cut all that off, and it regrew. And now it's bloomed again. Cut that off, and it's starting to bloom again. So yeah, it prefers the shade in this area, which I don't blame it, actually. Do you see another cucumber? Because I do. I didn't even realize that one was there. It shows you how much attention I pay sometimes. Yep, behind those snapdragons, there's another Armenian cucumber I need to get off of there. This is my Itea Virginia sweet spire plant, and the blossoms have died back, of course, but I've left them on because I kind of like the color of them. What I really love is the burgundy color of the stems and the way that the leaves kind of are tinged with that burgundy. It's just a really pretty plant. And there I've got some thyme, which is overgrown, and I should cut back. I'll do that in the winter though. For now, I'll just cut a bunch back and dehydrate it and use it. And there in the middle of this bed, I have some coreopsis and some society garlic, blooming pretty and purple, and some zucchini. You see that in a cage, and that one under tool, protected from the squirrels, because what I'm gonna do, guys, I've decided is enclose. See that cardboard? That's because I'm going to spread some cardboard and add some more wood chips to my walkways. So I'm getting prepared. There's boxes of cardboard everywhere. You might have spotted some in the tour. Anyway, my plan is from the corner there of the chicken run, on the outside of these 3 bed rows. I'm going to put some posts in line with there, and then going all the way up around these bare beds, and over there my zucchini that's tooled and my great tomatoes, all the way here to the end of the chicken coop. Put some more posts and go over to the coop, and then I'm going to put hardware cloth all the way around it so squirrels cannot get in, and some wire and shade cloth on the top. So I'm going to give it some 40% shade cloth, I think. So the added benefit to keeping the squirrels out will be letting the plants do better that don't like the heat as much as other plants. And I think that those 2 things are going to make my garden do better, and also will provide me an area of the garden that I can enjoy during the heat. Now after 2 p.m., the western half of the garden back there is in shade anyway. So, and plus I have that umbrella table for the morning where I can sit. And I have my covered patio where most of my flowers and seedlings are that I can sit. But I want these 9 beds to be squirrel proof, and I want them to have a little shade. So that is my plan, and before the end of the summer, my goal is to have that in place. So you will see the progress in July and August, and we'll see how it goes. Right there in the end, guys, that is where I put some little 1 and 2 inch nubs of rhizomes from irises that I was sure would not grow. And look at that, they all grew. Shocked by that. There in the middle, clearly not bothered by the heat, is my pineapple sage. So that's a great heat resistant plant to grow. This was my garlic bed, and I've taken most of it out. There's only a few left in there for me to harvest. This is my favorite sunflower. Now, a lot of them have already lost their blossom petals. I leave them up because I think they're gorgeous that way too, and so do the birds. They come and get all the seeds, which is fine with me. But yeah, this is my favorite sunflower. This is the Autumn Beauty, and it comes up as a volunteer. If you grow it once and you let the seeds stand, you will have volunteers. And the petals really are many different shades of autumn colors. And I just enjoy them so much. I also had another one come up that's not an Autumn Beauty. That bee is sure enjoying that sunflower. So one of the areas of my front flower garden is in filtered sun of that tree. And so it's doing pretty well, but a lot of the plants aren't blooming right now. The lantana is, and this gora is. Oh, I want to show you this dahlia I saw last night when I was watering. So actually it was, I think 3 nights ago that I found it. I saw it again last night though, and it reminded me I hadn't put it on any video. So it's gotten a little darker on the top since it first opened, but isn't that gorgeous? I don't remember planting this amongst these purple geranium here, but I'm sure glad I did, because look at that, so beautiful. So I thought I'd show you what I harvested today. All the peppers there, corbaci, cubanelle, banana, peppermint stripe, Jimmy Nardelle, cayenne. And I realized today that I have never shown my grapes or my grapevine on a video that I can recall anyway. And I do have a large Thompson red seedless grape. And what can I tell you about it? It doesn't produce really big grapes. Or perhaps I should say I've never seen it get that far, because if I let them continue growing in size, the birds would eat them. But I do love these. I give them hardly any attention at all, just some water now and then. And I get dozens and dozens of bunches like this. And all of these are good. Even the tiniest green ones I like, because I like a tart grape. But I also like a sweet tart grape. And that's what these that turn the red tinged color are. And oh, just delicious. I mean, it's so sweet and good. And again, no care at all. So I love my grapevines, and I planted some more so that I can, well, have more. And then here we've got tomatoes and yellow crookneck squash and Armenian cucumber. So super happy with today's harvest. I usually harvest as I go, guys, and so there's never a huge one because I'm harvesting every day. For instance, this is a pleury. I brought it in because I wanted to show you its unique shape. It's kind of a teardrop, or if you look at it a different way, maybe heart shape. But these are super good, delicious. They're a cross between a plum and a cherry, a plueri. And I have 2 of these trees, but they're both only a couple of years old, so they produce maybe a dozen fruit this year each, and I'm certainly enjoying them. As I'm enjoying my plums. Plums and pluets are my favorite. So let's go take a look as we close at one of my favorite trees, the Santa Rosa plum. It is fully ripe. You know how I know that? Because A, I've been munching on one every single night, 1 or 2, when I'm out watering the front. And 2, look at that, a bird has got this. Now when the birds start, you know that they're ripe. These Santa Rosa plums are amazingly delicious, and they pollinate all your pluots and plums. So it's a great tree to have. You'll always have fruit on it, and it's delicious fruit. And again, it's a great pollinator for all the other plums and pluots. So what's not to like about this tree? This tree is only 3 years old, and I'd say it had at least 100 plums on it, maybe 150. I didn't count, and like I said, I've been eating them like crazy. So guys, that's my garden tour for mid-June 2021. I hope you enjoyed it. It's hot. I found the shade of this little tree. I've got me some plums, and I'm gonna enjoy a little snack and get in the house. Actually, I'm not gonna get in the house. You know why? I have a job to do. Yesterday I sheared one of our 2 Shetland sheep, and today I need to shear the other one. Fortunately, the sheep live in our olive orchard, so it's very shady there, but it's still a hot and dirty job, but you know, somebody's got to do it, and the sheep are certainly appreciative. So here we go with that job. Meanwhile, remember, you can create the garden and the life you want, so don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Have a great week, everyone, and I will see you next time.